Hi, everybody. It's April Henry back again with my 28th Facebook Live. You can find all my previous ones on aprilhenry.com or on my YouTube channel, which is also called April Henry. Um, my plan is to do this every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time until I run out of topics. I have found one more interesting shirt to wear. I bought this almost exactly a year ago in Ireland when we were on vacation. I got it at a thrift store. And then I was really pumped to Google it and figure out that whoever had originally bought it had paid something like $200 for it. It's a very nice shirt, but it's not worth $200. But it does have these cool fold back cuffs. So I also wanted to start talking about books. So this is a book. A Game of Fox and Squirrels by Jen Reese. It just came out 2 weeks ago on my birthday, April 14th, which is a terrible time to have a book come out because there's no readings, there's no bookstores really. So if you can, order it online. I'm going to be giving this book to a 10-year-old friend of mine who's hopefully not watching this video. So today and tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about how to turn up the tension. How can you make your reader stay glued to the pages? And that's with tension. That does not have to mean a bomb underneath the restaurant table or the team of bad guys outside the hotel room door. Tension is any unresolved issue in the story that makes the reader eager to see what happens next. If the reader doesn't care what happens next, she puts your book down and she doesn't buy the next one. So while your book, what your book needs is conflict. I mean, your real life does not need any conflict, but books are interesting because of conflict. If things are easy, if everyone agrees, your reader stops reading. So one way to plot your book is just to make a list of all the bad things that could possibly happen and then put them in order from bad to worst, and that's almost a plot. So here are the first 20 ways to turn up the tension. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about, I think, another 23 or 24. So the first way to turn up the tension is give your character an external goal. They want something. They want to live, even though they have stage 4 cancer. They want to find the person that killed their father. They want to go for an epic single person sail around the world, even though all the food just fell overboard. They want to win the lead in the school play so that everybody realizes they're a great actor. So you give them an external goal. Number 2 is you also have to give them an internal goal. Your character may not be aware of their internal goal, but it might be something like finding love or finding something that feels like family or feeling successful or finding a true friend. So give them an external goal and an internal goal. And then another way to make your book a page turner is to grab them by the throat. It's very hard to find a gripping first sentence for your book right from the get-go. So don't worry if you don't have that to begin with. You can go back and find it later. But if you're reading a book, start thinking about every time you read a book, check what the first line is. So here's some great first lines. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. The first line is, they shoot the white girl first. Here's a book by another April Lurie called The Less Dead. And her first sentence is, I find Will face down in the woods near Barron's Creek. And in my very first YA, which is called Shock Point, here's the first line of it. It was the rough hand over her mouth that convinced Cassie Strang that what was happening was real. So grab them by the throat. Number 4, act first, explain things later. Many openings have one of 3 problems. They feel that they need to have a lot of lyrical sentences, show that they're a wonderful writer, like begin with the weather. But that's awfully slow. Another problem that people have is they show happy people in happy land. The writer wants the reader to know that when the bad things happen, it's going to be so terrible because their lives used to be great. But you can't keep that up for very long because the reader starts thinking these people don't need me, their lives are already good. And the third problem The third reason we need to ask first and explain later is that sometimes writers feel like the reader needs to know a bunch of backstory and explanatory material at the beginning of the book. No, they do not. You give them as little as they need to go on and err on the side of making them guess. Let's see. You should also look at making things snappy. I try really hard to keep all my chapters under 2,000 words. That's kind of a ceiling for me. And I've gone as low as 500, 750. A short chapter makes the book feel like it's zipping along, even if this book has the same number of words as another book with longer chapters. I don't know about you, but when I'm in bed at night reading, I might page ahead and think I'm going to go to bed when this chapter ends. And if the chapter doesn't end for 50 more pages, I'm going to bed now. If the chapter ends in 3 pages and it ends with something exciting, I'm going to keep on reading. Another way to make your book exciting is to create a ticking clock. In a mystery or a thriller, it can be the literal bomb under the table. It could also be an ultimatum, like, giving somebody so many hours to collect the ransom money. It could be an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, the summer about to end, the boy moving away, the day of the show coming, and they don't have anyone for the lead role, just some kind of ticking clock. Another way to make your book more exciting is to cut to the bone. Look for passages that describe the weather, the landscape, the aftermath, or travel, and cut them out. I usually do not need them. You do not need to show their trip from point A to point B. Readers will assume that characters go to sleep or go to the bathroom. You don't need to show everything. Number 8, have actions backfire. Your main character has a goal, but every step they take toward that goal actually pushes the goal farther away. There's an episode of Breaking Bad where Jesse is kicked out of his house. He calls his friend, tries to call his partner, who hangs up. He goes to a friend's house and almost has him talked into letting him stay until the wife shows up and is like, no way. He rides his bike off to find a payphone to call another friend, and while he's on the phone, someone steals his bike. He tries to break into the motorhome where the lot where his motorhome has been impounded, and he's excited when he sees there's a porta potty on the other side of the fence. And he's thinking he can climb over and stay in that motorhome. And instead, he gets up on top of the porta potty and is going to jump down when the porta potty's roof gives way, and he just falls into the porta potty. So every single thing Jesse did to try and find a place to stay backfired. Another way to make the book more exciting is to raise the stakes. Not only is your main character nervous about singing in class, but now she's been asked to sing at the beginning of a baseball game. Or not only will somebody die if your main character doesn't catch the killer, it's actually going to be their girlfriend. So another one is always tell Han Solo the odds. Han Solo says, never tell me the odds, but we need to know the odds, which is why C-3PO starts to tell him so that the audience understands the magnitude of the situation. Number 11, but still, keep it personal. Put personal suspense above global expense. Yes, I care that the whole world is suffering from a pandemic, but I'm more interested in an individual person or person's stories. Number 12, internal conflict. He's scared, he's clumsy, he's ugly, or at least he thinks he is. What is your character good at? Throw the polar opposite at him, challenge him. Number 13, make choices painful. Give the character 2 things they want desperately, and they can only have one. Why do you think there's so many love triangles in books? It's because the reader gets invested in that. It could also be like somebody who's married and tempted, or used to drink alcohol and has someone always offering them a drink. And then the 14th way is to add external conflict. Something that can't be ignored, that's going to push the hero toward being the hero he wants to be. So it could be nature, like an earthquake, a flood, a pandemic. It could be bad guys like aliens or criminals or bullies. It could be illness or injury. It could be an event like the school burning down or the IRS taking something for back taxes. And then, actually, I think I'm going to stop at 15 because I'm almost at 10 minutes. I'm going to give you guys the first 15. So give your characters spears and make them face those spears. Are they afraid of heights? Well, then that final scene needs to take place on a rooftop. Are they afraid of repeating them the same mistake? Well, give them an opportunity to get it right. Ask yourself, what scares me and how can I use that? Who would be more afraid of it even than I am? And how can I use that fear and make it even stronger? I am super afraid of drowning. So I did have one book where a character who cannot swim is pushed off a boat in the middle of the ocean and there is nothing to grab onto. There's no flotation devices, there's nothing. And then I had to figure out how to live. So those are my top 15 ways to turn up the tension in your book. I will touch on some more Thursday and probably some more on Monday. Friday's an Ask Me Anything day, so think about questions you might want to ask me and give those to me. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. I'm going to go try trimming my bangs again.